Hello and welcome to Spurs Kings TV. It's your host Marlon, and it's a new Monday show, right? And it's all about the Premier League, right? There'll be Spurs bits involved, right, as we do, but it's pretty much we're going to talk about incidents from the weekend and how we view them. We're going to talk about nothing but the Premier League. So I hope you guys will enjoy the new content going forward, right? But I've got to bring out a few guests, right? I need a panel to help me. And as you can see from the thumbnail, let me introduce them. And unfortunately, they're not Spurs fans. So they're going to help me get over these the next few weeks, especially we're going to have a lot of talking points, right? And we've got three for you tonight. So first of all, let me welcome Mitch. Are you well?
Yeah, not too bad, brother. How's it going? You good?
All good. Just so the people know, let them know who you support, first of all.
I'm a Newcastle fan. I'm a London-based Newcastle fan. Love and laugh at the minute, to be fair.
Quickly on that, while I'm doing introductions, how are you finding Eddie Howe? How are you finding your new ownership?
I'm a massive Eddie Howe fan. He came in, everybody were telling me we were going to be the richest team in the championship. And at the time, I couldn't argue, we were relegation fodder. We were going down. He's come in, he's turned that around. We've had Champions League football once. Last season was a bit ropey, but this season we're unbeaten and we haven't really clicked. I don't think we've played well in any game. We've got 3 in the Carabao Cup and we've got 10 points on the board after 4 games, which is our best start in something like 25 years. I've had my only one complaint was this weekend. Tonali and Barnes not starting was the first time I've looked at it and thought he can't carry on like this.
Well, we'll have to wait and see how your season goes. And then I've got another one who's going to help me out over these next few weeks. And should I really let him on the channel because of what he's got behind me? But Stocky, are you well?
I'm very good, mate. Long time no see, Marley. How you doing?
Long time no see. And as I'm going to explain to people, right, especially with our other guests, I've known these boys for years, and I'm talking years. So we know each other, and hopefully over the next few weeks you'll start to see we'll get the nervous bits out of the way, but then we'll start to banter each other and everything like that. But so I want to start off with something today, right? And I think it's in there since you're both on a Spurs channel, and I'm sorry, you're gonna have to speak about. Well, you might not have to, right? But we're gonna speak about the derby yesterday, right? And the reason why I want to speak about the derby yesterday is because are Arsenal becoming serious title challengers, right? And what I mean by that is they didn't play their normal way. They were very, 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 very strong, right? And they ended up coming out with a 1-0 lead, right? And a 1-0 win. So my question to you, Mitch, I'm going to start with you first, right? Is Arteta showing credentials to win Arsenal a title this year?
I think they're getting there. They're getting closer and closer and closer. But the problem is, every season, the juggernaut that is City start a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
And that little bit of the margin that you think you'd get early on is just Pep's just not having it. And they're just going from the block straight away. They're out and they're away. And once they're motoring, which they have done from the start of this season, they don't really drop any points. So every little draw that slips into the Arsenal game, they're hoping on something random happening to City along the season. So as much as Arsenal are slowly improving bit by bit, they're obviously title contenders. And I like the fact they can play teams off the park, but also do what they did yesterday and just defend, grind out a 1-0, not give up any chances, and make it quite comfortable as it was in the end. I still don't see that they can do it. And I think Pep on Arteta, I think his biggest issue will come not because they're not winning the league, because they're sacrificing everything else to try and win the league. And if they don't actually pick up anything else and still don't win the league, then I think questions will then start to be asked, because City compete in every tournament. They get to the semis and final of like every competition they're in. Arsenal haven't got past the last 16 for ages.
So, Stocky, I want to bring you in on this then, right? Mm-hmm. So obviously we're all going to be talking about City. We're all going to be talking about City. But that result yesterday was massive for Arsenal because they're missing their two best players, right? And technically, Spurs were missing one player, right? And they still managed, right, without even playing well, to come away with a result, right? If they were to go to Manchester City next week and not lose, they've got to be taken seriously, right? Then they might actually get over the line this year, right?
I think you have to take them seriously regardless at this point. I thought to their credit, what they done at the weekend was they picked out a Tottenham weakness, I'd say, in the set plays. I'm not sure it's so easy to spot a Man City weakness. But credentials, generally, yeah. Last year was title winning form. But the problem is with this Man City team, it's not title winning form. It's not your title winning form. It's their title winning form that's the problem. Arsenal were excellent last year, but there was a team that was better, and I think to replicate that again would be very, very difficult. Having not won it, have to push again is very, very difficult.
My other thing on that was what you said, Marlon, about going there and not losing. They cannot do that. The way they beat City to win the league is they have to go there and take points off them.
So do you think that's where they lost it last year? Do you think that's where they lost it last year? Because everyone was talking about the blips and everything, but actually, when you look at it, the course over the season, they won the first game because they were at home, but then they went to the Emirates and played for a draw. And if they'd got the 3 points, they technically would have won the title. So is it a case of they've got to go there and win now?
It is this season, I think. Last season, Arsenal won one and drew one, didn't they?
Yeah.
So it would have been the blips that cost them throughout the season. But with the game being this early in the season and Arsenal already having dropped 2 points, I think it's the case they have to go there and try and win. If they were both on 4 points and it was like we go there for a draw, we get a draw, great, and you're still on level points, it's fine. But you're still 2 points down if you don't win the game. I mean, you're hoping for someone else to do you a favour. You can't hope for a favour when it's City. You've got to do it yourself.
Stocky, do you echo that as well? It's City's.
I totally do. I think if Arsenal do go there and get a win, it's massive for them, I'd say, because Arteta's all of this psychology and mentality and all that guff sometimes. I think it'd be massive for them, and I think it may be what they need. Would it affect City? I don't know. I still think they'd be the juggernaut. But I fancy City for it myself. But I can't rule out. Arsenal have got one of the best backlines I've seen in a while now, and that's different. I'd say that's what's different about them and making it more of a challenge. I fancy City, but Arsenal will push them.
Quick question on yesterday's game, though. Right, just a quick one.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remembered there was an incident with Timber yesterday, right? Red or yellow?
Yellow.
Stocky?
If we're just talking about the tackle on its own, yellow.
I've flip-flopped a couple of times. When I first saw it, I thought, "Oh, he's going to walk," and then I saw it replayed. When you stop it there, it looks a red.
When you stop it like that, it looks red.
Absolutely.
But if Porro's a split second quicker, it's a red all day long.
Oh yeah, it's a nasty one.
Timber's foot's already kind of rolled over the ball before Porro's got there. So for me, there was 2 other incidents, and unless I'm mistaken Timber for someone else, I'm sure he sived down Johnson at one point, and Vicario got booked for the pushing and shoving that went on after this incident. So he could have gone for 2 yellows.
There's that magic picture. Guess which one's been booked, and Timber's got it like that.
Easily gone for 2 yellows.
So the reason why I brought up this incident, right, and that's why I wanted to get both your views on it, right? So there was an incident last year, Curtis Jones, exact same thing, but actually got a red card, right? Now, is that not exactly the same? But it's just because Basuma's foot gets more of the ball, but he does exactly the same motion.
No, I think it's ever so slightly different. Like this what you were looking at here with Timber is what you could describe as an orange. Some refs will look at it. If the ref gives it on the pitch, VAR do not overturn it.
Totally agree.
But I think for the Curtis Jones one last year,
here you go.
The
Curtis Jones one, just to bring it up.
The force is still in what he's doing there as he makes contact. Whereas Timber hit the ball and bounced up and then got Porro. Whereas Curtis Jones skims the ball and just goes through Basuma.
Yeah, but why I'm looking at it going, have they not both just tried the exact same thing? So it's just because of where the player is. They both tried to stop. It's not like they've gone to injure the player, right? It's more to do with where Porro ends up being and where Basuma ends up being, right? And at the time, I thought at the time it should have been a yellow. I still think this challenge is a yellow. I think it's Basuma's foot and where he tries to challenge is the issue here, right? And actually, when you look at Timber and Curtis Jones here, they're just doing exactly the same thing. It's just because the other player's in a different motion. So for me, wouldn't the consistency be that you either have to send both of them off or both of them are yellow?
No, I still think
are you basing it off because the way this ended up was more dangerous with Basuma getting injured, where Porro wasn't in that situation?
The only two differences, Basuma was closer than Porro was, and the force is still in this while Jones is doing that. The force is on. The force is on Basuma's leg. The force has come out of anything that Timber's doing at the minute.
So let's switch. Okay, say Porro's position is where Basuma's is, right? Because obviously he's front on, right?
Yeah.
But if they're trying the exact same thing, so should both retrospectively be given the same punishment?
No, I still think they're slightly different. I think if Porro gets a bit of the ball before Timber does and his foot bounces off, then you've got a completely different situation.
I'd say in these situations, I always find the stills very interesting, but also football. We've all played a lot of football.
Yeah,
you need to look at these things in real time, natural speed, because everything looks horrendous.
Well, this is why I'm saying if we looked at, obviously I can't show it from real time, but if we looked at both incidents in real time, actually they were very similar. The only bit is that Jones' last bit he landed on Basuma's foot, where kind of in this situation, Porro takes his foot away a little bit and actually allows Timber to get away with it. But actually, in both situations, they both haven't tried to tackle.
I think Timber did, but we know, and I know Mitch knows this one especially. We all look for that perfect tackle where you get the ball and you clump them as well, because that's what we're here to do. You want to rough someone up. It's a London derby. You want to let him know. I'd say he got away with it in that he got plenty on the ball, and he got his foot on the ball. And whilst he was looking to give Porro a dig, it wasn't as bad. He clearly did. Come on, we all know. Let's not lie. Whereas I thought Jones went in with a bit more steam and angle into it. I think from this picture, it looks like Timber's going down on the ball a bit more, whereas I think Curtis Jones was like properly flying in at a bit more pace. And that, I think sometimes when I look at these things, when you're both going for the ball like that, you look at their momentum in terms of how quick they get there, because that's where your force is coming from and whether or not they're in control. So that's how I saw it slightly different. And when I first saw it live, I thought, booking, he's not out of control. It's dangerous, but he's not out of control as such. Jones was a bit more speedy into it, and you could say he had less control. But both could be a red easily.
So would you, on past situations, would you have given a red or yellow yesterday? After seeing it now and 24 hours on.
I'm still yellow. Watching it live, I thought yellow, and nothing I've seen has really changed my mind from that, to be honest.
Both yellow. And Curtis Jones?
Curtis Jones was one when I didn't see it live. When I saw the first video, it made me intake slightly because I've been on the receiving end of a few of them and they hurt. And
I wasn't good enough to be on the receiving end for those. So
that's why Curtis Jones was a little bit more ready for me because.
And I've seen you play, so I can actually vouch for that and go,
yeah, I know how they feel giving them and taking them, to be fair.
Oh, mate. All right, so again, just on the last question of this, so Arsenal, where are they going to finish for you, both of you boys? Where are they going to finish this season? First, second, third, fourth?
For me, it depends on what happens with this thing that started today. If City gets any kind of points deduction,
they won't win the league. By the
They
time
won't do that this
season. People have been talking, which is the worst thing that can happen, then City still win the league. But if they get points taken,
City ain't going to get points deduction this season. Yeah, City won't get nothing this season. So it's just ain't going to happen.
Well, what they're trying to do is get it backdated.
Yeah.
So that all of them times that they've won the league from over them years, they'll take a bit off each season. But what difference does that make? Because no one's going to celebrate winning the title from 2016, 8 years later.
Mate, I tell you now, right, and all Spurs fans will vouch for me. If Chelsea had them points taken off, right, and we were winning the league, I'd celebrate it tomorrow, right? Because it was ours. Yeah. 16, 17 was ours, right? And Chelsea should have been deducted points. Right? I want my trophy. Next topic. Moving on swiftly, right? So, big thing this weekend, right, is that Everton, right? Now, it's only ever happened twice in the Premier League, I've heard, where a team's been 2-0 up and lost it 3-2, right? So, at least with this time, they didn't do what they did against Bournemouth and lose it in the last 5 minutes, but to be 2-0 up and lose both games 3-2, is this the end of Dyce?
Nope.
Go on. Why not?
No. Well, I'd say the Everton game did get somewhat disrupted. What was his name? Mikalenko went off, who I think is a big loss for them at left back. He's come on a lot since he first joined. So I think maybe Young moved across to left back. Garner came on at right back. Who's a centre midfielder. And that's before you even start with the Branthwaite situation. So it's safe to say in this game by itself, things didn't go quite right for Dyche. And on another day, Calvert-Lewin can bag 4. There was the one where he was 1-on-1 with Martinez, and his touch was poor and he got stuck between his feet and he tried going round him. Before you knew it, the chance was lost. On a different day, Everton go 3-1 up. I've watched
my slight interjection there, Will. Just before you carry on, I don't think on any day Calvert-Lewin's getting 4.
No, but he did. I thought them 2 chances are going to be brutal, but I thought he played pretty well. But without going to British managers, I think he's good at what he does. It's not ideal circumstances at Everton. Like, they're a mess. Like, they're as a club, they're a mess, and I think he's doing the best he can in the situation. And in modern football, you get a lot of, is the manager going to go? I'd say the question on from that is, who's going to take the job?
But is it a case of, though, let's take their results in isolation, right? Because obviously it's not just this Villa result, right? And they lost to Brighton 3-0, right? And up until the sending off, a lot of the fans said they were in the game, but it wasn't comfortable, right? But they got absolutely smashed at home by Brighton in the end, right? They got beat by Spurs, right? Us, who, let's be honest, can't beat anybody else apart from Everton this season, right? Okay, they won the second round against Doncaster, but then they've had, obviously, this result, and then they had the Bournemouth one where they were 2-0 up with what? 3 minutes to go, and then plus what was added. So you're talking about in 8 minutes, completely destroyed. This can't be form that you can't. It's not. This is not just new. This is form going in from last season. Can he survive this?
Yeah.
Do Everton need to look elsewhere?
I think his only saving grace is the Bradford situation at the minute. But if these two results were round the other way, I think he'd be in bigger trouble. Because Villa away, you lose 3-2 at Villa away, whether you're 2-0 up or not. As an Everton, it's one of them. You're not going there expecting to get 3 points as Everton going to Villa away, because Villa are a very good side these days. But to be 2-0 up against Bournemouth with 3 minutes to go and lose is pathetic.
But isn't Dyce known, right? And the reason why I'm asking this, right? Dyce is known as being a very pragmatic manager, being very defensive, right? And it's not even the fact like he knows they're missing Braithwaite, right? But yet they still can't keep that. The first two, like they've let in 7 goals in the first 2 games, right? Then they've gone in these last 2 games, been 2-0 up twice. Come on, he can't survive on this, can he now? Why are we giving him a blight? Is it because he's Sean Dyche? Or is it because Everton there's nowhere to go after this?
I think it's more because Everton at full strength all last season. I might be slightly off of this. Didn't they have 3rd or 4th best defence in the league? They just couldn't score goals. At the minute, they're just missing a few of their defenders, but they've started scoring goals. So that is going to be his argument for anyone who's above him that's asking him questions. He's like, right, Braithwaite's back here. When he's back, we start winning games. The problem is, once he gets his back 4 back, if they keep conceding goals and not picking up points, he's then in trouble.
So do you think it's a case of them, right? How long do you give him? How long do you realistically give him?
Depends on... It's a tough one because it will depend on what the league table's looking like and how they're doing against the teams that are actually going to be in and around them come the end of the season. Because if they start getting cut adrift and they're not even picking up points against the teams they're expecting to be fighting against, then he will start having massive problems.
I would say you got to look at the results next month, because ultimately, if you're going to make the change, like with the January transfer window, it's all right making a change, but he needs time to work with the players. There's no point getting him just before January when you don't know what he's got, who he can get, if they can even sign anyone. Because I know their finances are a bit of a mess, and there was the other day about this new owner saying he would love to sort of buy them out or whatever. So you don't even know if they can sign anyone. I'd say end of October, beginning of November.
Yeah,
would be
I'm just looking at
if it's looking grim. What are fixtures like?
Yeah, go on.
Just looking at their fixtures now. Yeah, they've got, that's the EFL Cup. We'll ignore that. They've got Leicester away, Palace at home, Newcastle at home, Ipswich away, Fulham at home, and Southampton away. That takes them up to the 2nd of November. They need to start picking up points in them games, because in reality, Leicester, Ipswich, maybe Fulham, and Southampton are all teams that are going to be in and around them come the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So if they get to that point and they haven't picked up 7-ish points in and around that, then he could be in trouble.
So wait, you're talking second international break? I think it's the second one in November. Is that around that time?
Yeah, the second one comes after. They've got West Ham, the game after Southampton, and then there's the international break. So it's the middle of November.
Easy 3 points against West Ham, innit?
We'll clip that, mate. We'll clip that. We'll clip that.
Mate, do you know what? For Everton, the easiest game would have been Spurs, but at the moment, but they still managed to mess that one up.
England's number 1. You look at who they've played so far, and if you're not an Everton fan, you look at it and go, "You're getting 1 point from that," and that's
true.
Bournemouth at home.
Bournemouth at home, but to be fair though, if you no one knew what Brighton were going to be like, and they probably wasn't expected to lose that either. At the time, if Brighton ended the way they did last year, then I think Everton would have probably won that. But Everton were just missing too many players. And you just expect 3-0 to be honest. But to be fair to Brighton, they've started really well, and the result against Ipswich on the weekend was probably an anomaly at the moment. So, you don't know. You don't know. But yeah, these next few games for Dyche, he's got to come up with something. I'm sorry, he's got to, because if he doesn't, it's not looking good. And for me, I get you got players out. The results and the performances have been poor. And Calvert-Lewin, yeah, he missed 2 glorious chances, but still, he's got to perform something. To lose 3-2 twice and being 2-0 up, for me, it's always a concerning thing. Always concerning.
Yeah, not closing games out is a bad trait to get into.
Yeah, getting bad each week is fine because you kind of go, well, we're not really expected to beat them. But when you go 2-0 up and you're like, okay, the Villa game, right? Considering how Villa played against Arsenal, you're kind of looking at it going, they're not going to do. And I know it was a great goal they got beat by in the end, but you still have to figure out. You got Jack Harrison? Sorry, not Matt. Jack Harrison playing it over to was it Watkins for the goal? Like these mistakes that keep creeping in with Everton, and at the end of the day, yes, the team's not good enough, but you're not making them hard to beat, which is what he's known for. It'd be like Sam Allardyce when you come in and they get him smashed each week. You're like, well, you're known for not being hard to beat. What are you doing?
That's a fair point.
Yep.
So the last topic of the evening are 3 and 3, right? And I've got a thing for this, right? So there's been a rumour, look, there's not been a rumour, but there's been a thing over the weekend about too many yellow cards in the Premier League, right? And I've got the clip here, right? So these are all the bookings that had happened over in the Premier League this weekend, right? I'm going to start with you, Mitch, right? Why are there so many? And just going through the list here, look, you can see from the list here, Mainu, Ericsson, Fernandez, Cornet, Phillips, Hutchinson, Hinselwood, Veltman. Like, you're looking at that list, most NDD you kind of expect it from. Alexander Arnold, probably. Yeah, John Stones, yeah. But look at some of these names on this list, right? Timber, Kulusevski, Van der Ven, Jorginho, Joe Linton, Nori, Burns, Semedo. Like most of these games we would have watched, right? Well, any of these games at the weekend you would have gone were feisty weekends. They deserve to be 65 yellow cards.
No, I watched a clip on Twitter earlier that showed all of the cards from the Chelsea game, and
which had the most
got
amount, but that was Anthony Taylor, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I got to the end and was like, he's given out 14 cards, and in reality, you'd only really expect to see 6 of them given every single time it happened. It's just mental. 4 of them were just because someone was talking to him or was too close to him after he'd given a decision. And it was just like, you've got to have a bit of common sense, because they weren't in his face screaming. They were just talking to him. And if they're going to do that for every situation that happens throughout the season, we're going to be seeing teams down to 10 like on a regular basis. I think they're making a little bit of a rod for their own back, because especially the Arsenal fans, they'll be screaming about the consistency all the time. This person, we did it once and we got a booking, and then someone else does it and don't get a booking. We've been hearing it for weeks already since Rice.
You just said something there, right? And I do agree, but I kind of go, wouldn't you say the 65 bookings, right, is showing consistency? Because they are now.
It's only showing this consistency over this one weekend.
Yeah, true. So it depends. It's more determined on whether it's going to carry on. But you saw let's take Rice in isolation against Brighton. He got booked, and then he gets booked for a thing, and it's probably the correct call. So, are we looking at now that actually, if there wasn't enough yellow cards, just throwing this out there, if there wasn't enough yellow cards, like you said, there'd be people moaning, oh, what about this week? What about this? But actually, what we saw this weekend is everyone going, oh, he got booked for that. He got booked for that. He got booked for. So you didn't really see no one going, oh, he got booked for that and he didn't. Is it not showing more consistency then?
Yeah, but then if they carry on doing it going forward, then it's fine. If they then revert to type and stop giving them again, it's just going to be like, well, what was the point of that one weekend when you went crazy? It was like, I think it was 2 seasons ago when they were trying to cut down on people grabbing shirts in the box. We got 2 weekends of it and then nothing. It just completely went back to exactly what it was. Either do it and stick with it, or don't do it at all.
Actually, that is very true, because actually I think that came after the international break as well, and we had 2 weeks of it. So do you think we'll get it a lot next weekend, and then all of a sudden it'll phase out?
Absolutely.
Probably. It's almost like they're bored. They've got no football to do, so they're like, right, when we come back, we're going to do this, and we're going to stick with it. And then they realise how much paperwork it creates, and think, no, we can't keep doing this. Let's just not bother and go back to what we were doing before. It's just stupid.
The notorious ref lovers on it again. I found some of them interesting. I always liked my football a bit more physical. I didn't see too many tackles. There were bookings. I thought what ref picked up a lot on this weekend was, as Mitch said, someone talking to them. Like, you don't know how much they're talking on the telly. It don't look good. If they're gonna crack down on people giving them back chat, kind of think that's a good thing, because you do see it a lot. I've noticed a lot of bookings for them stopping the flow of a game fouls. You know, when someone's just getting away from you and they like you're in your own half.
Yeah.
You just take them out, stop the break. There was a lot of bookings on that, and I think that's a good thing, because it's strange when it's your team doing it and you're like, "Yep, take the booking, well done, mate." When it's against your team, you're frothing at the mouth. I think they picked up on that a lot more this weekend, and there was 64 bookings. I was looking through that list; they were only players. There was no managers or staff in that as well, was there?
No, there wasn't.
It was 2 staff bookings in the Newcastle Wolves game alone.
Exactly.
There was a booking in the North London derby as well. Yeah, one of the.
I'm surprised when it was 64 cards or 65. When I read that, I was like, "Oh, but that's just players." I thought managers were included that as well, and coaching staff. So, I'd like to think they'd keep it up, but I've seen it before with so many rules that they've had their meeting, like, "Oh, we need to crack down on this," and then it just sort of gets washed away after a month. The media will find another sort of foul play that gets brought up, because obviously at the minute it's the intentional stopping the flow of the game for the Rice one. I saw one get booked for that this weekend, a little kick the ball away, but I also saw a couple of Arsenal players shaped like they was going to kick the ball away after a free kick and gone, nope.
Yeah, but that's what they're probably going for, and everyone has seen Rice has set the tone, really. And actually, because they've come out at the beginning of the season, and the players were warned, right? And I know a lot of people were moaning at Danny Welbeck a couple of weeks ago, but that just shows you that all the players were briefed and knew exactly what was going on. Otherwise, he doesn't come out and go, "Well, you get booked for that now," right?
Yeah.
So Rice for me was a silly boy.
Well, also,
and they didn't need him.
Yeah, referees are part of this as well, and everyone wants to be part of the show, and so do the refs. Why give a ref an opportunity to be the star? Some of them love making a decision.
Anthony Taylor.
And don't give them. It's silly. Don't give them a chance to be a hero. And it was daft. And the Brighton player done really well against Rice. To be honest, he made sure but it was daft.
100% he did well.
So.
But the thing that gets me is these fans of going, but they kicked it away earlier in the game. But kicking the ball away isn't the booking. It's stopping the restart of play. The throw-in hadn't even been given when Brighton kicked the ball away earlier in the game. And there was another Slubbers Eyes one that kept getting brought up earlier. I've seen it on Twitter about 10 times today.
It's totally different. He's crossing the ball.
Not stopping the restart. He's mid-flow, and he's kicked the ball just after the foul's been given.
These wouldn't be Arsenal fans posting this crap, would it?
Always Arsenal fans. Always a water battery. They even brought up the Joe Linton foul again this weekend after people claiming that Romero got pushed in the build-up to the goal.
Mate, I tell you now, if I ever wanted to find out anything wrong or anything negative, I'd just go get an Arsenal fan to be a detective, because they can find anything. When it's to do with their team, they can find literally gold. What I wanted to get on the yellow card thing, right, is, and the reason why is because when we first had the idea of the show, right, we said there's going to be a lot of VAR as well that we can talk about. Actually, do we have to give VAR some credit this weekend? Because there's nothing to really talk about. Is this the first weekend in ages they haven't caused any issues?
I don't remember seeing anything controversial.
Well, this is what I'm saying. This is what I'm
the
saying.
closest one's the Timber one.
Yeah, and even that, a lot of people went, you know what? So actually, they just went with what was on the field, right? And maybe this is what everyone wanted, that the referee the game, and VAR only get in when it's quite really controversial. So, are we starting to see VAR take a step back, or is it just 1 week we got lucky?
Lucky, and also if you're at a game, if like it didn't seem too bad on the TV, but I guarantee, because I got a season ticket, they look at everything. So when the game stops, you're standing there and you just get a useless little sign saying something's in review.
Yeah.
TV wise, it seemed great this weekend, and there was no big controversies. But I'm sure those in the ground sort of went, ugh.
I don't get why they can't just play the audio. Do what the rugby
well,
do. Let the fans in the
rugby,
stadium
cricket,
hear what's being said. I don't get what's wrong with that. If you're not doing anything wrong, be transparent.
And also, it would,
they're not.
It would, yeah, and also it would educate those many fans.
True.
All these Twitter heroes, as you said, Marley, our super sleuths over in North London, the Arsenal Detective Agency, they'd actually learn the rules and know what refs are looking for.
And this is the key thing, because I think I take it back to Merson and Dermot Gallagher on Sky Sports that time, when they literally had the big old bust up about, I think it was about Curtis Jones at the time. I can't remember what it was, right? But it shows you that what a player's thinking and what a referee's thinking, and sometimes, and actually fans are probably sat in the middle with it as well, because actually sometimes we're thinking because it's the benefit for our club or it's the benefit, but actually if we heard the audio, maybe we'd have a little bit more consistency what's going on, and maybe the referee then can't say stuff that they shouldn't do as well and can't make wrong decisions because they're under pressure as well. So for both of you, VAR, right, since the first episode, good thing or a bad thing?
Go on, Mitch, you go first.
I'm still just about in the bracket of a good thing. Watching how other countries do it and how it's used in international tournaments makes me really believe that it's a good thing. Sometimes our officials over here are useless with it.
Well, go on, Stocky. I was going to add something to Mitch's point. Go on.
I'd say I've always been against it, and I probably always will. Before it, big massive stinkers straight off. Say like the Mendes goal at Man United all them years ago. That fair, and even then we've got the buzzing thing for that on the watch. Never been for VAR. I think the beauty of football is that it's the same dimensions, the same rules from top to bottom. I don't think the VAR was necessary, and I don't like it.
Quite weirdly, because you go to a lot more games than me and Mitchie do, and your season's a bit older. So you see the pain of the stop and start as what most fans in the ground complain about. But what I was going to add on to Mitchie's point was, in the World Cup, or the Euros, in the Euros recently, the most controversial decisions that were placed were all English referees. So is it our refs that are the problem more than anything? And even when you get Champions League games, you get one or two from the overseas refs, but most of the time it's the English refs. Is it a time that we kind of get them more educated?
I think it is. I just think we're not using it right. Yeah, we've got to use it better. And this season started well because there's a bigger threshold for overturning a decision. And I'm all for that.
Yeah,
the refs, if it's one of them that you can have a conversation with someone, an argument with someone with, of whether it was or whether it wasn't, you stick with whatever the ref's gone with. Because if it's in that middle ground, you've got to just stay with the on-field decision. But the amount of times we've seen things overturned and everybody can see, well, he's touched him, but it's clearly not knocked him over. But the ref's gone, yeah, that's a pen. I mean, the VAR's gone, yeah, that's a pen, when the ref hasn't even given it.
West Ham had one this weekend. I think Traore went through for Fulham. and Kilman's
Yes.
just nudged him in the back.
Nudged him in the
VAR suggested for the ref to go to the screen, and he's still stuck with his decision. I mean, is that a good thing? Well, it worked out all right for West Ham, obviously, but I think a lot of refs felt pressure to give it.
Yeah.
When you slow something down, or football's played at this pace, so you should look at the decisions at this pace generally.
Yeah,
like when you slow things down.
Going to be my next point. Sometimes the refs have to have some bollocks. If you go to the screen and you think that's still not a foul, turn around and go, that's still not a foul, and stick with your decision. Just because you present to the screen, don't change your decision.
Yeah,
but you think that's down to the media though? Because if he say, let's take that into isolation. Say the Kilman situation where everybody thinks it's a foul, and the ref sticks with his decision. He's gonna get killed. He's gonna get actually vilified for that, right? In the media, the media are gonna absolutely kill him. Fulham fans would have been completely yara and would have been like, if this was a top 4 side, you would have given it, and all this rubbish. But now we've seen that decision not given, and he's got nothing for it. Should this not be the way forward?
I think it's a good thing, but also, do I think if West Ham had done that against a Man United or Arsenal team,
this is the question, yeah.
Because like you see stories like this all the time where people find out where refs lives and send them messages and stuff, and he probably thinks it's Fulham, it'll be all right. Or maybe, I don't know. They're human beings. It still happens. I always said with VAR, the big teams wouldn't have agreed to it. If it was going to make the game fairer, they wouldn't agree to it.
Yeah.
They've still got their advantages. The big sides, well, I say the big sides. I had a mate supports Burnley, and he goes, "Are you really complaining about big sides? You're West Ham." And I'm like, well, compared to like, well, I suppose it's the hierarchy, but yeah, exactly. But
yeah, stay down there, Stoggy. You're all right there still.
Yeah. Man United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham, they tend to get them decisions first, and then you got your middle tier clubs, and I suppose it's human nature, but what's the point of VAR if it's still sometimes the same biases still come through?
I suppose
what I actually think would improve things? Put them in front of the camera. Sometimes just grab a ref, interview him, ask him about a few decisions, let him go. Players get asked about it instantly after games. Managers do. Why are the refs just immune from any of this?
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's secretive. It's this country as well. They don't generally want to be interviewed and stuff like that. But maybe if you do put them in front of the camera, knowing the fact they've got to ask questions afterwards, maybe it will change their minds on certain decisions. But you never know. I think it will stop some of the abuse, because if they're asked, well, why have you given that, and he gives a well thought out explanation for it, it's like, cool. Maybe I now know why I give it. Yeah, but maybe what you said earlier is the way forward, where actually if we have to, so especially for the guys in the stands, as soon as it goes to VAR, when you can pick up what they're saying, it then stops everything afterwards, because everyone comes to that decision, and you're not reading it on X afterwards where the PGMO had to explain the decision. And it's just like, well, no, that should have been explained to people in the ground. Because us, let's be honest, most of us watching it, especially the 3 o'clock games, technically shouldn't be watching it, so we ain't seen the incident. We don't care if it's on X, like literally, really. So maybe it will benefit everyone inside the ground if they went down that route first. But boys, first show, thank you very much. We'll be back next week, maybe probably same time actually, and hopefully have our full panelists with us if he gets off work in time. But yeah, just to let everyone know, we are going to keep these shows short, sweet, and we're going to basically talk about the most 3 controversial decisions of the weekend, right? And put our old 2 pennies worth into it. But if you'd like to follow any of these guys, Stocky, start first. Where can people find you? X, Instagram?
X only, mate. I ain't got a face for Instagram. Stocky _10.
I don't want to be harsh here, we can see that, but
right. I'm here for brains, not beauty.
If you said that a few weeks down the line, we both would have said it at the same time, Marlon.
Yeah. It's that West Ham flag. It's killing me, man. I just have to abuse you, and I don't know why.
It's all right. Don't worry.
But you'll be abusing me in a couple of weeks. Don't worry when you beat us at the lane. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be an explosive episode, wouldn't it? It could be a draw, and we're still going to go for that.
Yeah, Mitchy's whole
Notice how he waited an extra week after the St James's visit.
Yeah, I did. I didn't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Mitchy, where can everyone find you if they want to come and follow?
I'm the
your
same as
stuff?
Stocky. I'm only on Twitter. I'm just at JamesMitch14.
Well, you're too old now for Instagram, right? Is that what you're saying?
Other than that, I'm a social media ghost, mate.
He only pops up to bait Arsenal supporters.
That is it. If you want to see me trying to wind up whatever fans look like they're going to be wound up, jump on my Twitter and you'll see me giving it a go.
Bro, what we might have to do, like, and I think especially because this is Spurs Kings TV, right? We might have to put a 10-minute segment every week just to wind up Arsenal fans. No matter how I know we've talked about tonight being the real deal, but if we just put a 10-minute segment every week of trolling Arsenal, right? Trust me, they'll be coming over like, "No, you're wrong," and this, that, and the other. But yeah,
I mean, I've got to cut it down to 10.
Oh, man. But boys, thank you very much for coming on. As always, we've got a show tomorrow, Tuesday. I know all you Spurs fans will be tuning in for that. And then don't forget the Rivals on Wednesday. That is going to be an episode, especially after last week. It's going to be fireworks. Hopefully, Deji, George come back and and Jay, actually. I don't know if Jay's on holiday. And hopefully they come back and smell the coffee and have to take the abuse from Steph, FaZe, and who else was on it? Halftime hooks, because they need to face reality. But yeah, make sure
I have to hear Deji's set piece explanation after last week.
No, I'm in the Shan, in the low key Shan. But no, thank you to all the guys that are tuned in. Hopefully, as we always say, please make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. And please, can you comment? And anything you want us to talk about, please hit us up on Twitter over the weekend or anything like that. Anything you want us to bring to the show, anything like that. I would say, come on, you Spurs, but I'm going to, because this is Spurs Kings TV. But as always, come on, you Spurs.